and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from wherever you are connecting. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. The question was, can anger, jealousy, hatred, sex, violence can be used if one is into it totally for transcendence? There is a way of using it. You can sit down in a lotus posture. You can force yourself. You can make your body static, but the mind goes on monkeying, jumping. Body is static. When body is static, then mind becomes more mad. There is a direct connection between body and the mind. Whatsoever happens in the mind, if there is an emotional disturbance, mind expresses it partly through gestures, through sense organs, but it expresses through the body. Body is the expression of whatsoever is happening in the mind. And when your body is static, mind gets more and more mad, and even more than ever before. Whenever you sit in meditation, you feel what is happening. You are never so noisy within when you are not meditating. Why does so much noise happens when you meditate? Why does mind goes on like a vagrant? Why do so many thoughts come in a cloud? It is because your body is static. It is not getting an expression, and through this staticness of the body, you feel the monkeyness of the mind more. The contrast is there. For this, we need to do active meditations, not just regular meditations, sitting meditations. It is the active meditations which will help you in that. Zen uses the active meditation. Every day they will pull the water from the well, but or chop the wood or do something else. But none of these things are mere physical acts. They are the acts done meditatively. You can use anything and use meditatively. Osho has introduced some active meditations. Gibberish is one of the active meditations, but in that it is only the mind plays the role. Mind creates the sound, but the body remains static. In dynamic meditation, which is in 5 parts, 15 minutes each, 10 to 15 minutes each, the first part is chaotic breathing. You would have noticed when there is a disturbance or there is an emotional upheaval, your breathing becomes abnormal. In the act of sex, your breathing is haphazard. Rarely does your breathing becomes rhythmic. So, and this, the more, if at that time when anger is brewing in you, you change the breathing pattern from chaotic to rhythmic, you will be able to overcome anger. The same thing, you enter into sex because of lust, because of the physical desire, need for the other. So there is chaotic breathing. If the breathing changes or you enter into sex, when the breathing you have already worked on, it is rhythmic, it will have a different effect. So the first is you are making the body more active. Like something like this, you would have seen sometimes somebody is getting angry, and at that time, if someone makes some gestures, does nothing but shows some gestures, the anger naturally goes up more in that person. So if instead of that he expresses it through himself, which is catharsis, you can, the jogging, the pulling the water from the well, chopping the wood, or any physical activity, when it is done meditatively, it is catharsis. But what happens? Anger has happened in the morning, and then, or in the night, and then you are doing the catharsis 6 hours after, so there remains no connection with that. If it happens simultaneously into steps, chaotic breathing, body becomes more and more overflowing with anger energy, negative energy, then you are doing the catharsis. Catharsis means you can use gibberish, you can use the hand and body movements, you can use the expression of eyes, you can do it silently, you can do it verbally, with the sound. So this is catharsis. Now the body has generated the negative energy through chaotic breathing. Through chaotic breathing, the negative energy is generated in the body. Now, through catharsis, that energy is dissolved, dispersed. Now you have to do your solar plexus is the generator of energy. When energy is generated, it is not the negative energy, it is the energy which is used in creative purposes. Your power supply, your battery generates the energy, and that runs the entire vehicle. So in order to do this, you have to do the hammering on the solar plexus. The Sufi mantra Allahu is very important. You remove the word Allah because this is very passive. Who is aggressive? Who, if you say the word who, you have to say it with force, and then the zarab happens on the solar plexus. So with that, solar plexus gets activated, it starts vibration in it, and through that vibration it starts generating the energy. And not only it generates the energy, it conserves the energy also. So you have used the chaotic breathing to create more and more thought process, negative energy in the form of thoughts, expressions, or whatsoever it is. Then through catharsis you have dispersed off. Now you have generated the positive energy into you. Now this energy has to be distributed in your body. How it can be distributed? All of a sudden you freeze completely. In whatever position you are, this is the fourth stage of this meditation. So when this sound comes in a stop, all of a sudden you freeze. Whatever position you are, you do not need to adjust your position to freeze. In a slightest movement, the energy releases from the body. When you are frozen, you freeze completely, then the energy is not finding any way to escape. Energy moves from the ends of the nerves. So you are generating the energy, and with freezing, the energy activates all those centers where it is lacking. The flow becomes easier. It is the negative thoughts or the thought process that creates the blockages in the free flow of energy. So now you have cleared that blockages, you have generated the energy, you have to allow it to move freely. Then the last stage comes in when it is a dance of celebration, when you are expressing your gratitude towards the existence, towards this process that has happened at this moment, gratitude towards the existence, dance of celebration. You can celebrate in your own way. Now I have devised certain meditation techniques for the children which can be used by adults also. You would have seen that children like the games like Peter says and things like that. So in that world, in that game, there is a rectangle or a circle is created. Everyone says something. That's the one form of that game. One can create their own games. So when everybody is inside the rectangle or square or circle, a line is drawn as a circumference, and you are to stay in that. The Peter says jump, 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 and all of a sudden Peter says stop. When the moment Peter says stop, the sound comes in, everyone has to freeze. So when Peter says jump, it is creating the energy, generating the energy. For children, you cannot use the other things. So then the moment you say, Peter says stop, if somebody has a slightest trying to adjust himself, person is out. Then it can say in and out. It is considered that the rectangle or a square is a pond of water, and you have to be in the water or out of the water. So the game goes on like this. In, Peter says in, and all of a sudden Peter says, and then you can create a certain kind of situation. Peter says, everybody is trying to see that what Peter is going to say. Peter says out, and or Peter says like a gesture. Peter says in, or Peter says out. So everybody, some of them following the hand movement. Peter says you said this in, but the gesture of the hand is towards out. So what will happen? Some of them get deluded by this and they come out. They are out. So in the same way, you can use this technique of a stop technique, to do even your act of sex. You can do anything. You can do an acting of anger. Peter says get angry. Peter says quiet. Or you can do anything. The another thing is, which is very important technique, laughter. Laughter, when you are laughing, people start saying, don't make me laugh, my belly is hurting, because it is like a hammering on the solar plexus. And when you are crying, it is like a nasal decongestion. When you are crying, the tears flows from the eyes, water flows from the nostril. So it creates it clears the emotional disturbance. That's why sometimes when somebody is emotionally hurt, goes crying. Or in a moment of joy also people cry. So, and then these two things you did. The third is you are doing the silence. So you can do a 15 minutes rotation, 15 minutes laughter, 15 minutes crying, 15 minutes silence, or 5 minutes depending on what you can do. These active meditations will help you to solve that problem. Gibberish, I mentioned, is a meditation that works only at the level of the mind. When you are gibberish, was a Sufi was living in a city called Jibar. He used to lie down under the moonlight and used to say whatsoever used to come to his mind. So the body is still, mind is releasing. So in order to make it more appropriate for the present day humanity, you can do it standing. So catharsis is that form of gibberish when you are expressing it through the body as well as through the gestures, through the eyes, through the hand movement, through the words also. And remember, whenever you are angry, the words fumble. You start stammering. The words cannot form correctly. So it can be used. Remember, forced silence is of no use. In meditation, we are forced, our silence is forced. Either you will not succeed in it, or if you succeed, you will move into sleep. That's why what happens most of the time when people are meditating, they are not meditating really, they are sleeping. And they feel this is what this particular meditation, which is introduced by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the transcendental meditation, this is nothing else. It appealed to the Americans because it made you creating a sound, and the sound becomes so boring that you start feeling sleepy. But after that you get refreshed, you get up refreshed. So it appeals to the people and it serves the purpose. Because when people come to meditation to start doing the spiritual life, their first thing is they want to see that they have a financial problem, they have a family problem, they have the problem with sex, they have problem. So all these problems need to be solved. The entire life is spent in solving these problems. When the process of transformation will begin, when you start going deeper into the spiritual aspects. So of course, a real silence always happens only when some pent-up energy is released. Totally. Pent-up energy released totally. The disturbance was because of that pent-up energy. That forced energy was trying to erupt. That is a volcanic eruption. You can see this happening on a day-to-day basis. You are a boss in the office. You have given a job to your subordinate to do. You inquired in the next morning. You are told that he hasn't come in as yet. So you leave the message as soon as he comes in. Tell him to come and see me immediately. So instead of inquiring anything, we start blurting out what it is going on within us. So this is pent-up energy. First thing at that time, in order to create a channel of communication, you inquire, everything is okay? Your family is okay? Is there any problem at home? Because all these things can affect his work. You create a different kind of environment. What happened? You're not looking so well today. Is did anything happen at home? Remember, everyone is capable of doing something. So we must respect. Although I am the boss, my responsibility is more, but there are certain things which you do. So it is, we are equal partners in the same thing, in the same act. I am the one who is bringing the orders. I am the one who is ordering the taking care of the warehouse, but you are the one who are taking the items for delivery in a right manner. So you are equally important. Now, what happened? Why this book did not finish? Or why there was a problem in that? Tell me. So now you have created an opening in him. He will open up himself and will tell you this happened like that. And so, okay, next time whenever you have any problem like this, you come and talk to me and I'll find a solution. Together we will find a solution and make sure something like this does not happen. Because if any one of us do not perform their role properly, if hand do not perform the role properly, the body will not be, the feet cannot perform their role better. So any problem with the hand affects the feet, any problem with the feet affects the head and the hands. So maybe I am the head, you are the feet, you are the hands, and this is how you create, instead of you are trying to use the pent up energy that could come in. You have used that energy wisely in your field of work, and that will bring tremendous results. Not only it will make you more mellow, easily approachable. This is a meditative approach, using the psychology in it. Then the forced energy needs to erupt. That was the problem. That was the disturbance within. When it is released, you are unburdened. But we are releasing this energy unconsciously, not in a meditative way. Then every fiber in your body, in your being feels relaxed. In that relaxedness, you say that you are in a state of no anger. It is not against anger. It is simply the absence of anger, the absence of violence, the absence of sex. The real is always the absence, not the opposite. The opposite of the anger, you are told by your priestly community that anger is not good, you should not express the anger. Then why did Jesus express his anger? When he goes and there were money changers and people were drinking and he turned on the table, and was that not an expression of anger? It was necessary. He used it as a tool. You are being used by anger. Jesus used anger as a tool. That's the difference. Doctor uses the knife to give you life, to give you better health. It is always the absence, an absence of greed, an absence of sex, an absence of jealousy. But in that absence, the reality blossoms because the disease has gone. The disease has gone. Now your inner health can blossom. And once it starts blossoming, you will not accumulate any anger on your day-to-day basis. If for 1 month you do not take a bath, what will happen? So you take the bath, shower every day so that the dust does not accumulate, the sweat, the other things do not accumulate. So in the same way, anger does not accumulate in you, the greed does not accumulate in you. You accumulate anger only because you are missing yourself. Really, you are not angry at anyone else. You are angry within yourself. Anger is like holding burning coal on your hand and you are crying. You put this, you anger brewed into you. So the same thing I gave you the example of your worker. If you had not used it meditatively, the anger would have come into you and you would have expressed its volcanic expression, and you cannot transform the person. The moment you approach differently, good morning, how's everything? The family? Anything happened at home? What made you, what happened? Why the work did not finish? Was there any problem in it? Or something you did not understand? So when you start approaching that, you are not letting the pent-up energy. You can use that pent-up energy to exuberate at him, or you can use it meditatively. And in that, you are not only transforming yourself, learning certain arts, but you are creating a opening in the other also. How to deal with the people. How to deal with the people. Then nothing is happening to you. The time goes on flowing. Death is coming nearer, and you remain unfulfilled as ever. And there seems to be no possibility to be fulfilled because of this pent-up energy or accumulation of energy which is not releasing, and you are not realizing your potentialities. If you have learned to recognize your potentiality, you can allow the same technique for others to explore their own potentialities. That is the spiritual work. The spiritual work is Buddha has realized his own potentiality, and as a result of which he is light unto himself. And he says, be a light unto yourself. Apodipo bhava. When apodipo bhava does not mean you light a lamp or a candle and start walking. Means you have learned the art of realizing your hidden talent. And the work of the master is to make you aware of your hidden talents. Hidden talents. That is what we are trying to do. Someone has asked, are these two authors are your student? There is an example that can be given. You had been to a 5-star hotel where you are staying. There is a big kitchen that is taking care of the meal facilities for all the guests and those who are coming for dining there. So there is an executive chef. Then there are many chefs working under him. The executive chef is experienced in all branches of culinary. He is well versed in different types of culinary skills, whether it is international, whether it is Spanish, whether it is American, whether it is Indian, whether it is Chinese. Then he has a set of the chefs who are experienced in their own field. There is a particular way of feeling the texture of the Chinese food. There is a texture of tandoori items. His role is to supervise the work of everyone. In the restaurant, there is a master, there is a particular set of chefs. They create the first thing in the restaurant they create the gravies if it is an Indian restaurant. They make the preparation for Indian items. the gravies, which is basically a tomato and onion red gravy or white gravy or green gravy. Now the gravies are ready. Now with that gravy, any novice can create, who has a slightest idea of cooking, can use the red gravy and make any vegetable, anything, whether it is a meat dish or a vegetarian dish. So the role of the executive chef is to supervise. When you look how the meals are created for the airlines, different airlines, and in that each airline uses their own cutlery, their own way of arranging, and then their menus are different. So when an American airline flight, the meals are to be prepared, flight 3945. So how many passengers are, how many vegetarian dishes, how many the special dishes, how many the diabetic dishes, all to be prepared. So everyone does their role. So in the same way, in the art of writing the works, there is an executive writer who supervises, who knows the text, who had explored and who had tried to create that the somebody who has the slightest intention, slightest talent, hidden talent, which is in the seed form, how it blossoms. So there are experts who are expert in the Chinese cooking. So all the Chinese dishes are given to him to cook. In the same way in writing, each one of the writer is an expert in his own field. And today he is working as a subordinate, tomorrow he will become the executive writer. So he does that work, given to him the responsibility, but executive chef, executive author supervises the activities of all that, coordinates. So it is a teamwork. This is the management skill. You can apply this skill in your work as your workforce. Do not throw your anger, you do not throw your violence, do not throw all these things. And then you will find excuses for all these things, which is not going to help in you in any way. A Buddha is silent, non-violent, not because he has practiced it. Instead, he has now realized himself, he has explored himself, which you never got the opportunity to explore yourself. You are less sexual because you have explored yourself. Now the flower has come to its full fruition. Nothing is there to release. He is fulfilled. Simple gratefulness to the existence remains. Now there is no complaint, nothing is wrong. When you really flower, everything means everything is okay, all is good. Because of this, Buddha does not see problems. And every problem is a solution for him, is an opportunity for solution. Each problem is an opportunity for solutions. All is good. That is why Buddha is not a revolutionary. To be a revolutionary, you must be able to see misery. You must be able to feel that the whole mess around the hell. To be revolutionary, you must have a feeling that everything is going wrong. Only then you can be revolutionary. Buddha was there in this